Welcome, everybody, to wisetake.com MMA DFS podcast. I'm your host, Jeff, aka Wigsplitter, aka Wiggy Wiggleson, going over UFC Fight Night Liverpool, Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, and Darren Till. This is going to be a fight. I think if it plays out the way I think it is, it's gonna be a pretty good scrap. I think both these guys are gonna definitely bring it. I don't think Thompson's gonna want to be upset, or I don't think he's gonna let Darren Till take advantage of him. I think the biggest key to this fight for Stephen Thompson and Darren Till is Darren Till is gonna have to make Stephen Thompson come forward. If he chases Thompson, that's a good chance for Stephen Thompson to counter him. I don't think Thompson will finish him, but anything could happen with 4-ounce gloves on inside the cage. But that's definitely gonna finish off this fight night card. Before we go further, I wanted to show all the non-subscribers one of the tools that we have here at wisetake.com. It is a MMA probability page. What I do is I get the salary, the odds, and then I convert it into a winning probability. I have the fight result, my pick, GPP, and cash. If the fighter is a GPP or cash option, that's for the premium subscribers. That's just one of the tools we have, not including a full fight-by-fight breakdown Friday, the night before. Keep in mind that since this is in London, England, the fights are going to be on at 3 in the morning. Your lineups will lock at 3 a.m. Pacific time, 6 a.m. Eastern time. So you got to take that into context. If you're building lineups, it's one of those things where you're going to have to make sure you are definitely paying attention. Because I would suggest maybe if you want to get into the higher level contest, make sure you enter in a dummy lineup now, and then make sure that if you are signing up for wisetake.com, an event pass for UFC is only $4.99. You'll gain access to all of these tools that we have for MMA. You can also pick up a day pass for Major League Baseball. It's only $2.50. That'll gain you access to the chat room. You'll gain access to all the articles. It'll give you access to the videos, the coaching videos that we have. There's a lot of tools there. But let's jump into the action. The first fight I'm going to go over is Lena Landsberg and Gina Masny. Gina Masny's salary on DraftKings is $7,700. She's a plus 110 underdog. Landsberg's salary is $8,500, and she's a minus 130 favorite at the time of this recording. Lines move, and especially closer to after weigh-ins. That's usually when sharp money starts moving in. But so let's jump right into the action. Landsberg she's an older fighter. She's 37. She's a solid striker. Fights well at range. She has a good body lock takedown. She'll drag her opponent to the floor, get top control. Usually, work for transitions and stuff like that, but she isn't necessarily a submission expert. I don't think she has any submissions in the UFC. She does have decent power. She has a higher output of striking when it comes to her significant strikes per minute. She does absorb a lot of strikes. She was brutalized by Aspen Ladd in her last fight. But to her credit, Aspen Ladd didn't make weight, and she was significantly heavier than Landsberg, so she had a bit of an advantage. Now Gina Masny, on the other hand, she has very good takedowns, uh, moderate striking. She only averages 2.34 strikes per minute. Uh, it's possible that Masny could pull off the upset here. From a DFS standpoint, I do like Masny uh, because of the takedowns. And then especially if you look at Landsberg's last fight against Aspen Ladd took her down multiple times. Um, and and I think if Masny can come in with that same game plan at 7,700, she could definitely pay off her salary. Moving on to the next fight that I'm going to go over is Elias Theodorou, the Spartan, going up against Trevor Hot Sauce Smith. Both these guys have different yet similar styles. Trevor Smith is a grappler, and Elias Theodorou is a marathon runner. I'm just kidding. Uh, the Spartan does run around the cage, though. It's like he doesn't want to get hit, like he doesn't want to ruin that model face of his. But he does a lot of running. He does fight well from distance. He uses his kicks to keep distance. Trevor Smith is a grappler. He does have solid strikes, but I think he's going to have a hard time getting in on Theodorou. He is coming off of a pretty bad loss, and that's Trevor Smith. Elias Theodorou's salary is 9,400. He's a minus 400 favorite at the time of this recording. Trevor Smith is 6,800 salary, and he's a plus 325 underdog. Elias Theodorou's fighting style doesn't play well for DFS. For cash, if you wanted a safe floor, I think he definitely has the ability to grind this out into a decision, and take it the full 3 rounds. I don't see him finishing Trevor Smith because I think his hands aren't necessarily. I just don't think he has that much power in his hands. And Trevor Smith, he's a little on the chinny side, but I think from a DFS standpoint, Elias Theodorou at 9,400, you're only going to get maybe 80 points in a victory. I mean, and that's pushing it. So I don't know. This fight to me from a DFS standpoint is a fade. Moving on to the next fight. This fight was actually on the undercard, the FS1 prelims, but I believe they had a fight pull out. I can't remember who it was. I don't remember now, but we're going to talk about Jillian Robertson, Jillian the Savage Robertson, going up against Molly Meatball McCann. Molly McCann is fighting in her home country. She's going to have a lot of fans there. She is the 125-pound Cage Warriors champion. She's making her UFC debut. From the fight video I was able to watch, she is a come forward pressure fighter. She's going to be in Jillian's face. She's a high volume striker, so that pays well when it comes to DFS. She does have solid cardio. Her takedown defense, I would say, is suspect. And going up against a girl like Jillian Robertson, who is a takedown machine, I wouldn't say machine, but she does have a lot of takedowns. According to Fight Metrics, she does average 6.82 takedowns per fight, and she averages 6.82 submissions. So if you look at it from that standpoint, if Molly McCann can keep the fight standing, then she has a very good chance of winning. But if Jillian Robertson can take her down, which it looks like she might be able to multiple times, and probably work for that submission, Jillian Robertson's salary 7,300 minus 210 underdog. Molly McCann's salary 8,900 and a minus 250 favorite. I actually, from a DFS standpoint, I wouldn't mind going with Jillian Robertson for the salary savings to be able to fit some of these higher priced guys in. Not Elias Theodorou, but if she can land multiple takedowns and possibly get a late first round, maybe second round submission, uh, she's definitely going to pay off that salary. So I like that um, from that standpoint. And then the last fight I'm going to cover is Bradley Scott and Carlo Pedersoli. Bradley Scott is coming down from 185, so he's going to be a little bit bigger than Carlo. Bradley Scott, I believe his last fight was supposed to be against Jack Marshman, and I believe it couldn't go down because I think it couldn't happen because Jack Marshman didn't make weight, and then I think it was pretty bad. It was pretty egregious and then it was too much that he wasn't able to continue. And Bradley Scott is going to be the bigger guy. He's a fairly solid striker. When it comes to grappling, he has good defense, good takedown defense. Pedersoli, he has good takedowns, decent submissions. He's a well-rounded fighter. Let's see here. Where is it at here? Carlo Pedro. So Carlo's salary is 8,600. He's a minus 165 favorite. Brad Scott is 7,600 and he's a plus 145 underdog. I think it's going to be a little bit closer than that. I think it's probably going to be closer to a pick'em as we get closer to fight day, especially with Bradley Scott possibly being the bigger guy, having a little bit more power. I think he probably is going to grind this out. I think he's going to be able to fight safe. He's probably going to want to. He's probably going to be a little bit more spry. I mean, if he had a hard weight cut from 185 down to 170, he was always the smaller guy at 185 anyways. But with him being at 170, he could be the bigger guy and be able to manhandle Carlo a little bit. But Carlo's a fairly good grappler. I'm not sure if I'm willing to take that risk on Carlo from a DFS standpoint. Bradley Scott may be worth it, but we'll do a quick run through for the rest of the fights. Daniel Dadbod Kelly going up against Tom Breeze. I think Tom Breeze is probably going to win. Dan Kelly, I believe he's on his way out. Claudio Enrique de Silva going up against Norden Talib. Norden Talib's on fire. I'm gonna have to go with Talib. Eric Spicely and Darren Stewart. I don't like Darren Stewart. He gassed pretty bad against Julian Marquez. He looked horrible. There was a couple times where he just didn't seem like he knew what he was doing in there. He had the advantage when it came to beating Julian Marquez his last fight, and he didn't pull it off. And then he had a horrible submission loss against Carl Robertson. Spicely, I believe, is coming off of a loss. I'm gonna go with Spicely in this one, but I'm not too confident in that. And then Davey Grant, Manny Bermudez. I think Bermudez is probably going to try his best to submit Davey Grant, but I think Davey Grant's pretty formidable on the floor as well. I think I think it's a little bit closer to Bermudez coming up victorious. And then on to the next fight, Jason Knight, Makwan Armakani going up against Jason Knight. I think Jason Knight is. I'm not sure if he should fight anymore. He's he looked really bad in his last fight. I mean, Gabriel Benitez just lit him up with leg kicks and just. I mean, he looked like he was out on his feet for a majority of that fight. I'm gonna go with the underdog, Makwan Amerikani in this one. Arnold Allen and Mads Burnell. I'll go Mads Burnell. Neil Magny and Craig White. Magny's one of those guys where he can stifle anybody. Like, his fighting style is awkward. I'm gonna have to see more video on Craig White, but to fill out for my DFS. But I'm gonna go with Magny in this one. And then Stephen Wonderboy Thompson, Darren Till. I think a lot of people are maybe hoping Darren Till loses. And I think they want Stephen Thompson to win. But I think this is a super close fight, and it's literally, for me personally, it's a coin toss. But I just think Darren Till is on another level, and I think he's gonna pull this one off. But yeah, I like Darren Till in this fight. If you are not already a subscriber, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Hit the like button. I really appreciate you guys taking the time out to listen to me talk about MMA. If you're not a wisetake.com subscriber, head on over to wisetake.com. A event pass for UFC is only $4.99. You can get a monthly pass for $29.99. That'll cover you for the whole month. There's going to be 11 events in the next 12 weeks, so it's going to be fairly busy when it comes to MMA DFS. Also, if you are into Major League Baseball, we also have Major League Baseball day passes. They're only $2.50. Come on down, man. That event pass, you'll gain access to the live chat that we have, the premium article that I put out, the MMA probability tab that I have calculated out for you. You can make your own decision with Vegas's help. So if that'll help you build your lineup, with that, I can help you walk you through that as well. As always, have fun, make that money, and be safe out there. Yeah.